I just wanted to get onto the point about a different point, which is about local government. Local government finance is, is not sufficient enough for them to cope with the crisis and what they're doing. And I'm just going to give you my own local authorities experience. We will get probably about, in total, because of this crisis from national government, about 15 million. The cost of this crisis, the COVID crisis, is going to be within the 3-month period of what's going to be needed, as well as the loss of income, is about 60 million. And up and down the country, local authorities will have similar stories to tell, and they are being treated, they're being dumped on, frankly, being asked to do more than what the funding is available. And we need action from the Treasury to make sure local authorities can do their job with the support. We've got a lot of frontline workers. We've got a lot of people who are actually like key workers who are protecting our communities, and we need the Treasury to act here. Would you be able to comment on what further action can be taken to provide finance to local government on top of what has been provided?
Sure. Well, I come on to local government, but just before doing so, the point I was seeking to make is that it's important to look at the range of packages as a whole, not just one in isolation, because where someone falls outside the scope of one scheme, we have sought to address it through the wider package as a whole. So that was what I was seeking. And indeed, we have worked very closely with the TUC, with business leaders, and indeed, Francis O'Grady, in respect to the furlough scheme, recognised that the Chancellor had listened and tweeted to that effect. So it is important that we work on our response in a very collaborative way. That is what we have sought to do, and indeed changes that the committee itself has raised, such as, for example, the chairman raising the mid-tier firms when the CBILS loan was introduced, was something that we've responded to. We've looked at the date. So a number of changes have been made in the design. The announcement from the Chancellor on Monday, which again we may get onto in the session, around the debate on 100% guarantees, some of the issues on viability criteria on some of the other schemes. So there's a whole range of issues where indeed we have sought to work extremely collaboratively on a cross-party basis, and indeed across the United Kingdom. And I think through my interplay with, for example, the devolved finance ministers, that's very much been the spirit in which we've sought to act. Now, you also asked about local authorities, and you're absolutely right. Local authorities are under pressure. They've seen a significant drop in revenue, particularly district councils, for example, where if you take one where you are, Westminster Council gets a huge amount of its revenue from parking charges. So district councils have seen impacts. Upper tier councils have seen impacts in terms of adult social care. And that's why we have taken measures. We announced 1.6 billion of additional funding in March. We announced a further 1.6 billion in April. We've also deferred payments in terms of business rates. We've also changed the profile of spend in order to help councils with cash flow. So a number of measures have been taken to support councils, because you're absolutely right. They're not only under pressure, but they're also being asked to do more, not least in terms of the very successful shielding programme that we've been running, where councils have a very important part to play.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Rush.